All right. First, I want to know who here has heard of Alexandria project? Not the place in Egypt? Okay, not very many people at all. Cool. So a little bit of background. Our purpose with Alexandria, which we started working on about 2.5 years ago, was to create an index of decentralized media, essentially. So we wanted to kind of solve the problems of the Bitcoin trackers, or BitTorrent trackers, of having centralized websites that link to all of this different BitTorrent data that's spread out all over the place. So we wanted to have a peer-to-peer index that was searchable, browsable, and decentralized media that was replayable. So the way that we've done this is using Coin as the blockchain, and you're probably all going to ask why we didn't use Ethereum. We started working on this before, while Ethereum still had a countdown on their website, so there was no Ethereum to use at the time. The idea actually came about in the Ethereum Skype chats, and we needed something that we could start working with right away. So Coin has a 40-second block time, and you can put transaction comments up to 528 characters in each transaction. So this gave us space to put metadata for content into the blocks directly. And also that 40-second block time is important because if someone is publishing something, they want it to be up as soon as possible. So the way that something gets published is through our front end at the moment. You can also do it manually, but it's a serious pain in the ass because the metadata is JSON structure. So here you can see one artifact that the JSON starts here. We used torrent. That was just because we were using torrents at first, but this is actually an IPFS hash. And then you can see the title here. There's a little description. And then our library daemon, which is some software that we wrote, actually splits this up into different transactions. So you can have up to 10 transactions with the metadata of just one artifact. And then with that, we build a database that shows all of the media that's been published. And here we have songs, albums. This is actually for 3D printable objects, but it happens to work also very well for images. And so we have some publishers who are using it for images. The front end is really slow right now, and that's completely my fault because it's running a whole bunch of JavaScript that I was playing with last week and didn't clean up. But you can see here, there's this image that was published. So this image is coming from IPFS, and all of this content is coming from the blockchain. Let's see if I can. And so, yeah, as you can see, I mean, the Coin transactions have the IPFS hash, has file names for all of the files that are in there. There's the file name for the first one, which is just an image. The second one is a preview image that we can use in various ways. And then we have an IPFS gateway running that's part of our kind of full node architecture. And that allows for that redundancy that's necessary, because if someone publishes something on their local machine using their IPFS daemon and then turns their computer off, now you have the information on the blockchain, but there's no data on IPFS to access. So we've solved that problem in a couple of ways. Knowing how to use a computer properly was not one of them. Okay, there we go. So basically, like here, this is the front end for browsing. I showed you that already. I can show you a video in a second. And then we can publish artifacts here. And I will just put in one of my wallet identifiers. This is using Flow Vault, which is linked to an Insight API, which allows for a zero-knowledge wallet. And that's currently, because this is our web-hosted node, that's currently what we're using. We also have it built to be a standalone buildable Electron app. It's Node WebKit right now, but we're switching it over to Electron. And then you can use RPC. You can use your local wallets as well. So let me show you what this looks like once we get past here. Log in with wallet identifier and the wallet password. None of this goes anywhere. It's all decrypted, decoded locally. So we log in. Now I've already announced a publisher with this Florin coin address. I actually have two for this one, or they're just showing twice. But you can register a new one, pick a name, pick the Florin coin address from your wallet. I'm already using mine, so it's not showing there. And then you can register publisher. Once that's done, you get a basic form here, which allows for selecting what type of media it is, title, director. This is for videos specifically. All of this, you select the preview image for videos that shows as the thumbnail and the splash page. Bitcoin address for payments. In case you can always accept Florin coin payments because that's the blockchain that we're using. But a lot of people want to use Bitcoin for payments as well. And we've done other things to enable that as well. You can add files here, as many as you like. And then extra files would be things like documentation, PDFs, whatever you feel like including. For videos, media files would obviously be videos. So once you go through that process, then it chunks it into the, whoops, that's not at all what I wanted to do. So then it chunks it into the multiple transactions and puts it onto the blockchain, and it's all signed. So once our library daemon, which is the piece that connects all of this, once that sees these new transactions, it adds, as long as the signatures check out, all of the data is filled in correctly, then it adds it to our library and allows people anywhere to browse it, to access it either through our website or from the peer-to-peer client. So some of these other features that we've built that you can't really see on the front end is something that we call PinBot, and that essentially allows any user to watch the blockchain, to watch the database that the library daemon is building. And if you have a publisher that you'd like to follow, then you can automatically have your IPFS daemon pin that content. It would download it onto your computer. You become a host for that. We use it locally, internally on different nodes to make sure that when someone uploads something to our server, it gets pinned, it gets spread around between different nodes, and they can pin it locally as well. So that's just for redundancy. And we run this centralized server as kind of for a couple of reasons. One is, like I was saying, you have to have guaranteed redundancy of these files. So when you actually publish something, the files do get uploaded to our node and then get pinned around onto a few different nodes. And on top of that, running all of these different daemons is a bit difficult right now because it's very technical. You need the command line to get IPFS daemon going. You have to run a Florin coin node, and then the library daemon itself. And then PinBot is one option that people can use. We also have built into our node, we have what we call TradeBot, which allows for Bitcoin to Florin coin transactions. So it gives you a Bitcoin address, you send it Bitcoin, and then you give it a Florin coin address, and it will send you Florin coin back. We've also connected this to the Coinbase widget, allowing for credit card transactions for up to like $5 US, so that you would end up buying the Bitcoin. If you want, that Bitcoin can go into your address. Otherwise, you can have it actually send the Bitcoin to the TradeBot, and then the TradeBot will send off the Florin coin. So this is the Bitcoin white paper, which has been published. That was one of the first things that we published. And I believe, come on. So here in that publishing process, if you don't put in a Bitcoin address, it will actually use TradeBot for every artifact that does not have a Bitcoin address so that people can tip with Bitcoin, and that trade is linked to the publisher's Florin coin address. So that really removes the real pressure points of using some cryptocurrency that no one really knows about. On that note, we are open to using other blockchains for the actual publishing of the index files, of the metadata. And the way that we do that is in the JSON structure, which I will show you via the inspector, maybe. So this is the object for this artifact, And what's not included here, like you can see torrent, which is the IPFS hash, publisher is the Florin coin address. What we're going to add here will be network indicators for where the index is and for where the actual, on what DHT the media is. So you will be able to specify that your files are stored on BitTorrent network using WebTorrent or whatever with a torrent hash there. And theoretically, you could say that the index exists also on Ethereum. And then we can have the front end pull from both from Florin coin and from Ethereum and build a library based on what the user wants. So if you have users that just want to use Ethereum, then they can just use Ethereum. If you have users that just want to use Florin coin, then they can do that. Just because all the blockchains have different features, and especially running this kind of thing on Ethereum could get very expensive, and we wanted to keep it as cheap as possible. Also that we've built in for the sake of artists. So if somebody wants to sell their song or their movie or whatever it is, we give them an option for a minimum price and for a suggested price. And what that does basically is it will tell the user before they can view the content that they need to send. At this point, it's Bitcoin only. And there's that Coinbase widget that I mentioned. So you can see it says suggested price is $1.25. We have everything denominated in US dollars, which drives me crazy, but that's the way that we've built it for now. And here you can send this via Bitcoin, via Coinbase, or you can just say send Bitcoin, send it here. And this resolution is absolutely horrible. There we go. If we can get this to go, let's see, first let me change this, because we have it set up so that it does 0 confirmations on less than $1. So sorry, Imogen, I'm only sending you 90 cents. Sorry, this will give me 1 second here. Come on. So now, as long as the minimum on this is lower than what I sent, then once the transaction goes through, that will clear out and the video will start playing. Once the transaction. Yeah, right? This internet connection is not doing me any favors. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been working on. We've also built a historian module which plugs into mining pools and allows for the current value of Florin coin to be put into the actual Coinbase for the new coins. And that works with a mechanism that that trade bot mechanism. So if a miner, they get all of their reward tokens and they can set a threshold on those tokens and make them available to other users through this trade bot mechanism, so that it will watch how much those coins were worth when they were originally mined, and then can make sure that that miner is making as much as they can, creating fluidity for Florin coin at the same time. The other interesting thing, this is like not working at all. Okay, well anyway. So the other interesting thing that we're kind of playing with right now is the idea of publishing fees. So basically, like right now, in order to publish, all you have to pay is a transaction fee, depending on how many transactions you have for your transaction, for your overall publishing message. And what we're talking about doing is making it cost the amount of one sale of whatever it is that you're publishing. So if you're publishing an album for $10, then it will cost you $10 to publish that, and that $10 goes as a mining reward. So we can significantly boost the rewards that miners are getting and hopefully encourage network growth and so that extra security that's required. So yeah, I don't know why that's not working, but anyway, that's all I've got. You can check it out, alexandria.io. Publish something.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No, questions, please.
Maybe I missed it in the beginning, but sorry then. So what is Alexandria? Are you a company, a bunch of people, enthusiasts?
It's just an open source project. Like I said, we started kind of like brainstorming it about 2.5 years ago. We launched our very first demo 2 years ago at a Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. And that was kind of a different thing that we were presenting, and it was meant to be a Twitter archive. And so we had a bot running that was scanning Twitter for certain keywords, for usernames, for hashtags, and creating Florin coin transactions based on that with the same JSON structure. And then we built a front end that had a word cloud of all of the different archive terms, and then when you click on the archive term, you can scan by time and see how popular that term was, and then actually retrieve the tweet straight off of the blockchain. We ran into a problem of rich media. It wasn't getting archived, the videos and the pictures that people were tweeting. So then we ended up going in this direction and realized that the bigger picture was the media distribution on a large scale.
And so you're not you're not a for-profit company?
Not at the moment, no.
And are you investing? Sorry, what's your relation with Florin coin?
Like I said, we chose it because it was live at the time, which was important to us. We didn't want to do the ICO and create this token that had premines and all of these questions that come along with that. So we wanted to pick something that was already live, and then we had these options, the extra features of the 40-second block time, of the 528 character transaction comments. And so we got a hold of the developers, and those developers are working with us on the project, as well as, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, it's all open source. It's all on GitHub. Feel free to check it out. You go to our alexandria.io and you can get into our Slack channel, which was where most of our conversations happen. And you can also see all our GitHub. Yeah, it's on Slack. Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference between you and Resume?
I actually just heard about that today, about that project. So I can't really speak to that. There are a lot of other projects in the space that are trying to do similar things. We're really open to working with all of them as much as we can, because we kind of think that building something that works and something that has a large amount of content is the best way to go, and these teams working together is the best way to get there, I think. So, I mean, there's LBRY, there's Media Chain, there's Ujo. We've been talking to pretty much all of these teams. And then there's things like Decent, which hasn't really done anything yet, as far as I know. They're talking about a prototype launching soon. So I think that, and I haven't seen the one you mentioned, but I think that what really separates Alexandria from a lot of the ones that I've just mentioned is the actual course of development and how far along we are.
Is the actual what?
What's that?
What separates it is the actual?
Oh, is how far along we are with development. Yeah, because we've been working on it for so long, we've had a lot of these conversations that don't happen until you're.
More on the concept stages, and you are on.
Sorry, what was that?
So all others more on concept stage.
Yeah. A lot of the others are in a concept.
Applications.
Yeah, and we've been working on it for so long that we've come up with a lot of these questions that just don't happen until you've had a chance to really dig into a program. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. We need developers, so if anyone wants to come join our community and help us out, definitely do it. Thanks.